Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're here for this little time-lapse narration. Uh, I've got about 12 minutes of footage, depending on how long I talk. We'll see how long the actual YouTube video is. So, basically, rebuilding this, I'm using the 6x6 post again. The brackets, still are fine. The concrete, fine. I just kind of had to pound them back with the hammer a little bit. So I'm basically using the post that I tried to use when my solar array collapsed. So those cuts were already made. I didn't have to do anything different. Just kind of putting them in the in the brackets. They have quite a few. What am I trying to say? Anchor points. It's like 4 screws, 2 on each side. Pretty long lag screws, and then there's 2 bolts that you'll see me later drilling to go through. You can see the 2 big holes there at the bottom for the through bolts. But the longest, as I'm watching myself make sure these are square, you can see the wind flapping those the sunshades for the RV. I just wanted to keep the worst of the sun off of it. It really helps in the summer, and the winter it's like, it doesn't really matter that much anyway, so I just leave them there. And I've actually been surprised just anchoring. I've got 2 sides anchored to the trees. Just the trees aren't very high and very sturdy, but it works pretty well. Even flapping like that, I haven't had any problems with them. When they're slack, they kind of hit the top of the air conditioner, but I actually put a little strip of an old garden hose on the top of it to kind of just make sure that there's no sharp edges. Even though it wasn't sharp, it kind of just makes it a little softer. Anyway, that's the flapping in the background. It kind of had my attention, but that's not what this video is about. I'm working on getting these posts plumb and level. So, well, actually, I forget how to use those. I think plumb is one way, level is more of a horizontal thing. So I don't think there's any horizontal component, right? Because it's just plumb. I think is plumb 2. I forget. Is plumb both sides, like the left and the right side, or is plumb and level? I don't know. I don't know how to use words. Anyway, I'm just kind of setting it with the screws. I forget how many of them I used there. I wasn't really paying attention. But it was enough where I could kind of still move it around, wiggle it back and forth. But it wasn't, enough that what am I trying to say? Oh, here, that's kind of funny. Notice how I went, this is a lesson in how not to square things up. I went from the corner of the post there to the back corner of the far post. On the other ones, if you would have been paid attention, when I went diagonal across the other posts, I went to the front corner. Just kind of how I had to string it or wrap it around. I wrapped it around the far post the same way, but I failed to go to the wrong. I failed to go to the same spot on the post. So I'll figure it out in a little bit. So I'm kind of adjusting this post needlessly because, well, I thought that I was a little bit off, but I wasn't. So here I am. You can see that I wrap it around and I go from the that to the front corner there. There I am going to the wait, that's the back corner. I went to the back corner twice. Maybe I missed where I did it. At some point I did 2 different corners, so I was a little bit off square, even though I was actually square, but then I made myself off square and then I had to fix it again. I don't know, I'm not really watching myself here. This is kind of a long bit of squaring things up. I'm kind of bored. Let's just cut. But the point that I was trying to say is at some point I got it wrong and I fixed it. Oh, I guess I don't need to cut because here's the next section. If you don't have a tractor, I don't know exactly. It would be a real pain in the butt to have to do this by yourself. without a tractor. I actually tried on the high side and failed without a tractor. So don't don't do that. It's just so much easier with a tractor. Like with most tools, you don't really have to have the tool. Just without the tool, it takes a lot longer, sometimes infinitely longer, depending on. Oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine life without a tractor. So the tractor has been a real lifesaver out here, not just for things like this, but for clearing all the land. I cleared all the land that you can see in the camera with the view there. Um, I let's see, I just tacked it in with, I think, one screw. I forget why I used a hammer there exactly. Maybe it was a little bit too snug, but just getting it kind of up there and situated, making sure things are still plumb and level, or level and plumb and plumb. Maybe this is just plumb. Level would be the beam going across. I do think on this beam, on a side note, when I did the math, yeah, it's probably good, but for a beam this long, instead of doubling up the, just I think that's a 2x12 fixing the bend, and it actually stayed. I was pretty happy with that. After I backed the tractor out, it pretty much stayed. I guess you can't really see it there, but I was shocked at how much of a bend that actually took out, and it pretty much made it dead straight. It was impressive. But anyway, if this was going to be a permanent thing, or like a span in a house, I would have done like an LVL type beam, some type of engineered product, instead of just 2x12s. I think those are 2x12s. Yes, my rafters are 2x10s. So I would have done something a little bit more, but instead this is kind of a temporary thing. Well, one, it doesn't have the full weight of a roof on there. Well, it eventually will, because I'm going to have shingles, but it doesn't really have to support a lot of weight. That was my original plan. It just needed to support the solar panels. So I wasn't even going to have decking up there. I wasn't going to have shingles. These will have shingles, so I will have to support some extra weight that I planned on. So if you're, yeah, that's kind of got my hand a little bit there. Tip number one when you're doing stuff like this: don't be a dummy. Just, I think I can do these things without the extra prep work, and it just doesn't ever go that well. So just take the extra time, Daniel, and I'm trying to tell my future self, and just take a little bit extra time and prep, with like the block that I screwed on there, and then it's so much easier and it goes faster. But I refuse to do stuff like that, and I find myself a lot like that, where I would rather just struggle, like if I'm somewhere on the property away from the shed, and I'm lacking the correct tool, I will struggle for like 10 minutes with the incorrect tool, trying to get it to work, when I could have walked to the shed and back in like 2 minutes. But I don't know, that's just me. I'm like, let's try to make this work and figure it out. Yeah, well, it's not always the fastest. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to say there is, be smart, don't be dumb. Again, back to the old conversation that I was trying to have with myself. This is kind of a temporary thing. There's the other half of the solar array that fell down that I'm kind of scavenging the wood that I need from it. The beam on the high side that fell down for this side that I'm rebuilding was, it was kind of, it must have fallen on like a concrete bit, or like something that caused it to really chip and damage. It took a big chunk out of the beam, so I actually replaced the beam. I didn't want to I didn't want to just use the chipped beam there. So this is securing it with the tractor. I guess I cut out, this is old footage from before I restarted I basically wiped my computer and started fresh with a different version of Linux. So this was recorded. I kind of recorded it to save space, after splicing it all together. So I didn't really have that footage anymore. But I did try to put it up there without the tractor, and it fell down, and it was not nice. But anyway, back to the point I was trying to say originally was that this is temporary because even though I am going to put decking on the roof there, and I am going to put shingles as I'm screwing in, I am going to eventually build this in and frame it kind of traditional stick framing. So I'm actually going to go up underneath these and basically support it all the way across. So I'm not really worried about I forget what I was showing there. Maybe that all the pounding kind of was, you know, it was still snug. Maybe I forget. I forget. Like, this is part of the problem when I spliced this video together a long time ago before I did my computer update, and then I'm just now getting to narrating over it. So it's kind of a long time coming. If you've seen any recent videos, you've probably seen glimpses of this actually being rebuilt. So yeah, I forget the reason why I spliced things together, but anyway. Yep. After everything got square and I got a couple things on there, I decided it was time to get it really good and screwed in secure on the bottom there. But anyway, to finish my thought, hopefully for the 20th time, I actually, yep. So that's what happens when you don't drill straight because your drill bit isn't long enough to go all the way through, and you have to drill from both sides. Sometimes you have to go back and get it. But what I'm trying to say is I'm eventually going to frame this in with, kind of traditional stick framing. So that's going to go, I'm basically going to go right underneath those tall beams anyway. So it doesn't really I'm not really worried about the beam. Like, ideally, if this was going to be an all open space with a full roof on there, I would want those to be LVL. I'm not sure the size. I didn't do the research on that because I didn't need to. So this is kind of it's a makeshift temporary thing just to kind of finish the roof off, hold solar panels, and then eventually I will build it in. And I think it'll hold long enough without any type of sag in the meantime. And if it does start sagging, well, then I'll just pound it up and make it nice and straight. So there's the finished project. That's the end. There's not much more to say or talk about. So we'll just kind of freeze frame here on the end while I wrap up. What I was going to what I've been trying to explain for the entire video is that eventually I am going to basically close this in, and since I need to make the walls anyway, I might as well just make it right underneath the beam to support the beam just in case the beam wasn't big enough. When I did the math, it was enough for just the solar panels because it basically only needed to support its own weight and the solar panels. So it was good enough for that, and this is good enough to hold it for a long while I finish some other projects at the house and some other videos that you'll see uploaded. And then I'll get back to framing this sucker in as kind of the plan is basically this is going to replace the RV. This is going to, I don't have any septic plumbing in there yet. We might do an incinerator toilet that's all electric, or I might pour a slab off to the left there, basically between the shed and this structure. There's a little bit of dirt left where I could pour, I could dig out and I could do plumbing for a, septic, bathroom, sink, and, run like say the kitchen on the other side of that wall that would just drain all into that thing. So it'd be relatively short drain distance, all kind of encompassed right there. So that's pretty much the plan. That's our future plan out there on the property, kind of building on, this is going to be, it didn't start out this way, but it's actually kind of nice that the solar array collapsed because now this is essentially going to be a little cabin area for, studio thing for us. I guess you can't really call it I don't know what defines a cabin, but this is kind of, that's what it's going to be. And yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say. Pretty much done talking. Hey, if you stuck around and listened to me talk this long all the way, give me a, I don't know, say go Cubs or go whatever your favorite baseball team is or sport. Like, say something in the comment section just so that I have an idea how many one of you or two of you stayed around and listened to me ramble on for this long. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do hope that you guys have a great day or week or time of whatever thing it is for you. when you're watching this video. And I hope to see you around again soon.